first things first, there will be spoilers in this quick review of Stranger Things 2, so if you haven't seen it yet, save this video to watch later and come back to it. Now, if you have seen it, thanks for tuning in, subscribe to this channel, and you will continue to get good reviews on the media that I'm consuming. So, without further ado, Stranger Things 2. I finished it last night, so it's fresh on my mind, and you know what? Some of my fears were confirmed. So, after season 1, as it kind of progressively got more and more shocking toward the end of the season, I was worried that season 2 would have to start from that level and continue to ratchet up on this thing. So that was confirmed a little bit. There are moments in this season that are disturbing, and you know, my wife looked over at me during one scene in particular, and she's like, "Oh, why are they doing that?" And she said, "This is something that should be like TVMA." And you know, Netflix ratings as they are, and most people are inclined to think that this is probably like a PG-13 type show. There are parts of it that are pretty tough to watch and border on a more, I don't know, on a darker, more adult theme. So you want to be cautious going in and just be aware of that. And if you have teenage kids or, you know, kids at home that want to watch this, bear that in mind. I don't know that I would let most kids watch Stranger Things, especially season 2. Season 1 was a little, it's a little campy still. They didn't have the full funding for some of the graphics and things. Season 2 really, they rode the wave of their success, and it's convincing, and parts of it are disturbing. So you want to be aware of that going in. Also, VidAngel, which is a service that I loved in the past. I don't know that they'll ever get to their former glory, but VidAngel announced that Stranger Things Season 2 has 44% more language than Season 1. And that doesn't surprise me. Really, from the opening episode, they hit you with it, and it approaches that level of, it's hard to even believe it anymore. It takes you out of the reality that they're trying to create in this show, because you start being distracted by how much language these kids are using. It's well beyond where kids their age would normally be using that kind of language. So it's more in line with like the Goonies or something. And that brings me to another theme that I noticed. Their efforts to incorporate some of those things from 1980s entertainment and pop culture really reached a new level. There were a lot more references to things like E.T., the Goonies, etc. that they had hints of in season 1, but really had in season 2. Part of that was that one of the original Goonies himself is in this season. So that element was a little bit weird. I never really fully got connected to Bob like they wanted you to. I mean, he's just a likable, good guy, but Sean Astin's character, well portrayed, well played. I just didn't buy the chemistry they were trying to manufacture between Sean Astin and Winona Ryder. It just never really congealed how it should have, and maybe that's why when Bob exits the series, not by choice, but when he exits the series, I didn't really feel what I think the creators of the show wanted me to feel. I was kind of like, it was bound to happen, and you like Hopper more. So let's talk about the positives that this season had going for it. Absolutely better on some of the character development. So Steve, who you kind of hate by the end of season 1, is your hero by the end of season 2. You love his character. That interplay, that relationship between Steve and Dustin is fantastic. They have entire extended scenes where they're kind of getting to know each other better, and Steve is becoming kind of this mentor figure for him, which I thought worked fantastically well. So Steve Harrington, probably the highlight of this entire season for me. I did like the attempt. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I did like episode 7 from this season, which everyone is panning as like a low point, as confusing, as a waste of time. I disagree. I think, some of the character arcs there were a little weak and a little contrived, but getting to know a little bit more about Elle, her background, her motivations, And I thought it was critical later, right, that she had done that and gone to Chicago and met up with 8 and learned how to channel her skills and talents a little more. Obviously, that plays into the finale of the season. What I think they could have done was dispense with a little bit of that tangential sideline storyline, and it came at a time that was really uncomfortable too, right after the climax in episode 6. I think they could have done something a little more like in Batman Begins, where Bruce Wayne is training with Ra's al Ghul, showing more of Elle's training and development and things. But they didn't have the extensive period of time. It was meant to be kind of a quick hit, and then Elle decides that's not what she wants and goes back home. So I think it worked. And here's my prediction for season 3. I think you will see those characters come into play again. There was too much intentionally done to establish 8's storyline and story arc. And if you want to extend it this way, you can look at it as pitting like Elle's using her powers for good, and 8, and I can't even remember her names. That shows you how much people cared about her. 8 is using her powers for bad. Well, it's kind of like a revenge play, but questionable morality. Not even questionable. They're killing people. Okay. So I actually liked that. I also liked some of the character development of the individual people, so Hopper's character arc and development. I liked being able to see Will more and understand more of him and his motivations, his feelings and things. You feel so bad for the kid because he has the worst life imaginable. That being said, some of the new characters they introduced were a little bit confusing and felt a little out of place. So Mad Max, Maxine, this new girl from California, her older brother Billy, neither one really coalesced into what I think they were going for. By the end of the season, in fact, I kind of felt like you didn't need Billy at all. I mean, he really just serves as kind of the antagonist to her protagonist character, and as she seeks to gain acceptance into the group, really they kind of just use Billy as the tool to get her there. Tool, you see what I did there? As the tool to get her there when she stands up to him and shows her true strength. But I didn't really feel like it was even necessary to introduce them. So I hope they use them better moving forward. I think they're both talented actors. I mean, Billy was phenomenal in his role, but was his role necessary? I don't know. Okay. Those are most of my thoughts. I think the Demogorgon dogs, or the Demo dogs, as Dustin calls them, I think they were a better villain than even the Demogorgon itself in season 1. I like the ominence, the omnipresence, and the I don't know, kind of the eerie feeling overall of that shadow monster. It's a character that's powerful enough that even in the scenes in which you don't see it, you can still perceive its presence. It's like it's always there, kind of. I don't know. And so at the end, I mean, the very last shot of the whole thing where the school flips upside down and there it is just standing over the school again, I think they're setting up season 3 because I don't think we've seen the last of the Shadow Monster, and I think it works, right? So this season is more cerebral and more psychological. It kind of gets in your head, and that's paralleling the storyline that Will is going through. So be aware going in, it's more of like a psychological thriller. It is more gory. It is more violent. There is more language, and it just, if you haven't started to watch Stranger Things, season 2 is probably evidence that you shouldn't bother. And that's harsh. That's harsh to say, but it's a little too intense. It's a little too far out there, and I'm worried about season 3. So season 2, ratchet it up like season 1 did. If season 3 keeps going that way and matures as the children do and stuff, I think it may get into a territory where I'm done watching it. I mean, this one was borderline a couple times, so be aware of that going in. Okay. That was by no means complete or exhaustive, but those are just a few of my initial thoughts. What did you think? Let me know in the section below. Leave a comment. Which season do you like more? Which character do you like the most? What thing surprised you the most? And be sure to share this video with your friends that have seen the show, because if they haven't, this is going to give away a lot of key points. Okay, I hope you like the outdoor fall surroundings. I thought it was appropriate since most of this season of Stranger Things takes place in the fall and outdoors. Okay, subscribe to this channel by clicking over here, and check out some of the other videos that I've done by clicking over here. I appreciate you tuning in, and let me know what you think. Thanks.